Hello, I'm Deborah Price, founder and CEO of the Money Coaching Institute, and this is Conversations About Money. So, welcome everyone. I have the great pleasure today of speaking with Laura Cano, and Laura is a certified money coach based in Australia, but she has quite an interesting background. So, I guess what is 15 years ago, you left Colombia and were so brave and created a whole new life for yourself in Australia. And I know you've been a financial advisor and a financial professional for many years now. And at some point, you just decided you needed to do more and to find another way to assist your clients, which I understand because that was exactly my story. So tell me more about your journey, Laura, and how you got here into this work.
Thank you, Dora, for having me here today.
Absolutely.
Um, so everything started, I guess, about 8 years ago. I was in a conference. I was sitting in this event from a financial coach, and I felt like, oh, this is something I like to do one day. But at that point, I was very focused on my financial advice career, so I just parked that. And then about 2 years ago, a friend invited me to a seminar,
Mm.
money seminar mindset thing, and I was there and I sat there, and it was very obvious for me to see how all these emotions and these patterns about money were like a very real thing for a lot of people. And obviously I was able to see that with my clients as well, how those money behaviors and emotions were like putting them sometimes in positions that were very challenging. So I guess being in that seminar was like my turning point, telling me this is what you have to do, or this is what I want to do. I really want to be able to help people understand the behaviors from the beginning, like where that come from and how I can create new behaviors and new patterns that can help me create a life that is more aligned with my own values and feels balanced and fun. And because sometimes people believe that the problem is when you don't have money, but I also work with a lot of professionals very successful, yet money was a very stressful topic in their lives, and they sometimes felt like they were never going to be able to achieve their goals, like being retired, or they were still living paycheck to paycheck. So that's in that moment when I was when I felt that I need to go in a different route.
Well, I'm so glad you did. So you've been a certified money coach now for what, almost 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. And so tell me a little bit about how money coaching has changed the way that you work with your clients. What are some of the biggest differences that you see now?
So first of all, when I was a financial advisor, I was helping my clients with the strategy.
Hmm.
And strategy is very important because, like that is part of money and knowledge about investments and things that no everyone knows or has to know. At the end of the day, that's why there is a financial professional, right?
Right.
But from being a money coach is help them understand where those feelings come from, why they're making the things them this why are they making the decisions they are making, how they go to the point where they are, and also understanding where they want to get and
Right.
how they can get there. So it's a work that is way more personal. I'm able to help them understand the why behind everything. And that was something that I wasn't able to do as a financial advisor. I guess I didn't have the tools.
Yeah. Well, the why is, I think, extremely important because, as you know, many people can accumulate a lot of pain and shame around their money dynamics and feel badly about what they have done or haven't done right, or at least that's their perspective. I always feel like, and this is part of our teaching that we have to hold this place of compassion and non-judgment no matter what, because most people are just doing the best they can with what they know. And most of us also didn't receive much formal training or education around even the practical side of money, and almost nobody receives any assistance in terms of knowing how to understand themselves behaviorally or emotionally, right? So, you know, when you, as you have gotten into this work and have done the work with more and more of your clients, what would you say the most your who are your favorite money types to work with?
So I've worked with a lot of women,
Mhm.
and I think in women that we usually have the victim of the martyr archetype. So, from the victim perspective, I like being able to help them feel empowered and own their own story. Like,
Mhm.
yes, there is a lot of people that do things that are not right, or we didn't know better, we didn't have
Right.
education. There's a lot of things that are external to a certain degree, right? But it's also like I'm now an adult and I can take control. I don't have to wait for all this to happen or blame the outside. I understand that, there is a reality that there is lack of information and education, and people sometimes that's the wrong thing. But it's like I can own my own story. I can rewrite the story. I can go and find the information I need, and I don't have to depend on those things outside. Because
Right.
sometimes also, like, if I believe that, oh, I don't have the information and I get stuck there, and these people didn't, or my parents didn't teach me. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, like now you can go and learn yourself. So
That's
that
right.
from one perspective. And then from the other perspective, I like to work with women when they are in a martyr archetype. I
Hmm.
guess as women and society teach us also to give and or give and put everyone first and put your family first, your partner, everyone else, but we forget to give to ourselves.
Right.
So help them come back to themselves, help them fill up their own cup, uh, and also be open to receive, because it's true that when we give so much, then we forget
Yeah.
how to receive, and start giving to yourself so that you are open for others and you tell or show others how you can receive as well. It's very, very beautiful.
Right. Well, that's just a beautiful perspective to hold for people too, because especially I think there are men who suffer from some of these dynamics as well, but as women, we're just socialized to believe that we should give everything. And
Mhm.
when you are a professional woman and you're trying to you got to run the house, take care of the kids, be the good wife, or whatever. And the amount of time and energy that the average woman spends trying to accomplish everything she has to is sort of a setup for burnout, not to mention putting yourself to the sidelines and maybe never getting back to it. So I'm just super happy to hear that that's one of the things that you're really passionate about serving because it's a big need. And so from the standpoint of working with people who are first starting to learn about themselves and money, and they do that through the methodology that we use. Have you encountered any time that clients are sort of reluctant to share with you their history and their money story?
No, not really. I guess I guess once you are ready to, and you know that this is the work I want to do,
Yeah.
everyone feels very comfortable. I also hold the space from compassion. I
Mhm.
guess is something that I always remind everyone, but also remind myself when I'm a little bit too judgmental to myself, because we all do that, right? And I remind everyone that we are not alone in this journey. Like we all have learned something about money that doesn't serve us. So I always come to all my sessions and to all my clients with that compassion, and I'm here to help you, I'm here to hold your hand throughout this process, and they open up to me very easy. And yeah, like this is what I'm here to do, so it's
That's
not about
right.
judging anyone. So
That's right. Well, you have such a lovely way about you. You're a very calm presence, and I know you have a really big heart, and I also know that your intention is to be of service. So I bet people feel that about you pretty quickly. So, and I'm really glad to hear you don't experience a lot of resistance because that's one of the things that coaches say in the very beginning of training frequently. Oh my God, how do you get people to talk to you about this stuff? And everyone's always afraid that that's going to be a problem. And you are just helping me to see, and other coaches too, that it's not just me who doesn't have that problem with my clients. we really, I think, do a great job of helping people to feel safe enough to tell their story and to be coached, you know. So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess when I start talking to people, I open up as well and I might have this conversation and they start like realizing things as you start asking questions and sharing what we do and how we do it. So I guess, yeah, that gives others the confidence to share a little bit, even if it's not a client yet, but someone I'm sharing what I do with.
Mm.
They usually kind of start questioning themselves and it's like, oh yeah, it's true, this happens, so I'm this way sometimes. So yeah.
So, has there been anything that you have found to be particularly surprising about money coaching in terms of what it does? And has anything surprised you?
um yeah, how that okay, money is something that we all live with, is something that affects all of our lives and is an important component of all
Mhm.
our lives, right? But I guess helping clients, or I remember this one client that there was a lot of things stressing her out, a lot of issues and stuff. And then once we have all the money situation together,
Right.
she was able to talk to her partner in a better way, in a more assertive way, make some changes, have some commitments. And, like, I remember like there was like situations where she's like, how am I handle this? And then giving her the tools on how to approach the situation, how to go and ask for pay rises, how to talk to your partner and have agreements that serve them both,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to talk to others on, hey, this doesn't work for me, or with her family, like seeing how this work is only money, but it affects many other parts of our lives. And once we get that together, that really supports everything else. It's also true that doing the work with yourself, about your partner, your parents, your kids, that's very, very important work and is something that we don't really touch. But
Mm-hmm.
also, money is a very important component on all those relationships. So
That's right.
being able to come to the table and be able to have more clear conversations and how that reshape their lives, it's been beautiful. Like how they feel empowered and it's like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna ask for the pay rise, and this doesn't work for me. It's like, oh,
Beautiful. So you're holding your client's hands through a very sometimes difficult and emotional terrain because it just is. I mean, it's sort of a hotbed of both often very challenging experiences. In fact, I'm just curious, in my own experience, I find that the vast majority of my clients, when they do the money coaching core process, the history that they reveal is largely fairly challenging. Like, it doesn't really matter whether they came from a family with money or they were poor or they were middle class. Almost everybody has pain, shame, and some amount of suffering, regardless, even if they were in a very wealthy family. What have you discovered about that in terms of just how challenging money is as a subject for people in terms of their experience that they're sharing?
I found that there is a lot of situations where they don't really like, they feel like, yes, we have everything, but there is always something missing. Like, uh there might be that they weren't poor, or yeah, basic needs were covered and even more than that, but there was something that wasn't really aligned, or I didn't know how this worked, or I saw my parents that they didn't talk or they would fight. So there is always that discomfort
Mm-hmm.
on how does this supposed to work and how do I want it to work for me, and
Yeah,
not really knowing what's that I want, or what's that I need to do different so that I can get to where I want to be. I
right.
have clients that some of them might have some sort of financial education, but their parents talk to them about money, but is from what perspective are you talking to your kids about money?
Yeah.
Like for example, in my personal experience, my mom. talk to me about money, right? But there was a lot of fear. There was my mom is very risk adverse. So for me, even if I have the education around money, when I was making my investments, a little bit risky
Mhm.
because in theory I knew that's what's needed for me and my goals. It felt weird. It felt like very uncomfortable. It taking
Right.
risk around money was like, oh, it didn't
Because
feel
that's
right.
not what you heard and that's not what you were taught, right?
Or, and then after doing my work, I can go and take risk. Yeah, sometimes it feels uncomfortable because it might feel uncomfortable a little bit, but I understand where that comes from. And now I have the tools on how to manage that discomfort and just calm down and make the decisions from a place of peace and a place of this is what I want. So I guess that discomfort or that, I don't know, from clients is something that I've seen very often.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, what I find is that people, they're almost hungry to talk about it with somebody who isn't known to them even. It's like to some extent, I think it's easier for people to talk to us because they don't know us and they feel a little bit safer. Whereas sometimes if we have these conversations with family or friends, we feel a little bit like we might be judged or they might not understand. And so being able to do it with somebody who's not only just a professional who's trained to help people in this area, but the fact that we're not part of their universe makes it a little bit easier, I think. What do you think
Yeah.
about that?
Yeah, definitely. I guess for a lot of people, money is a taboo topic,
Mm.
and we don't talk enough. Like, I certainly didn't grow up talking a lot about money with others and my friends. Like, sometimes they will ask me questions, even being a financial advisor, they will ask me questions, but not fully clear.
Right.
Or even sometimes being a financial advisor, clients will be like, "Oh yeah, this," and they will don't tell you like you to do the whole plan. For example, you need
Right,
to
right,
know their expenses and things, and they will be like a bit
right.
like uncomfortable talking about that. Or you see how between like couples they have these behaviors that they don't want to fully disclose things
That's
because
right.
this and that, and having the tools to actually also bringing the awareness that this is something that we can talk about and it's okay and no one is perfect and
That's
that's
right.
totally fine. It's very, very powerful.
Yeah. And, one of the things, especially with couples, that we really work with is to try to help couples learn how to talk about money in a healthy and safe way because it's a big issue. And if a couple can't talk about money in a healthy way, the future looks sometimes a little bad or dismal for them because it usually devolves over time if there's not a healthy way to get through and negotiate through challenges that occur, which are extremely common. So I know you enjoy working with couples and you work with individuals. Do you have any particular niches that you'd like to share with the audience? Like who are you working with most or want to work with most these days?
So these days, I've been, as I mentioned before, I've been working with a lot of women, and especially
Mhm.
like professional women, I guess around my age, because it's obviously, no, obviously, but it's easier to connect with. But yeah, like I love to work with everyone whom is, I guess the most important thing from this work, it doesn't matter your age, your background, if your gender, whatever, it's like you are ready and you are open to do the work. If you want to do the work, it doesn't matter where you come from or anything. I'm
Right.
here. Like I can. I want to work with you.
That's right. Well, that's a really good open door policy because you never know. I mean, I too have a practice that has probably more women, especially women entrepreneurs and business owners, but I love working with men and I love working with couples. So now, as you move forward and you start to do more couples work, I would just say, you're going to find sometimes that if you haven't already, that sometimes you'll start working with one person. So maybe the woman comes and she does, excuse me, um, individual money coaching, and she'll say, "Oh, I wish I could get my husband to do it or my partner to do it." And then, so have you had that experience where they are like, "I really want to get my partner in here, but they're having trouble doing that?"
Yes. Yes, I have. I have. It's more like, and I guess that's a society thing. We are, as women, are usually more open to do this kind of work. Uh, and it's funny because being a money coach is easier. I get a lot of women clients and female clients. But when I was a financial advisor, I will talk mostly with the husbands.
Isn't that interesting? So the husbands want to engage when it comes to the numbers, and the women often don't. And here on the behavioral side, women are much more open to discussing their feelings or experiences than men.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
interesting, isn't it?
I guess it's same but different. You always try to help them encourage the other person to
Oh, yeah.
participate in this in the decisions. I guess regardless from which perspective you are working from, it's very important that when we make decisions, especially with your partner, we
Mhm.
are both involved. We both understand what's going on, and we are able to talk and get to those agreements and goals in common, so that we know that we both walking towards the same goal and walking the same path in the way that we work together
Yeah.
in this as a
Yeah.
team.
Well, and also, I think with couples, once they learn to have a healthy, money conversation, they feel so relieved. They're not so reluctant to do it. And usually it's just a lack of tools because nobody taught us how to have this conversation. And it's can be scary for people, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess same as a lot of other aspects of our lives. We, whatever we saw our parents going through, we kind of mimic that same behavior. And the reality is that when we are with someone else, they have their own patterns and we have our own behaviors. And now we are here trying to build something. But if we don't communicate, if we don't fully understand what's that each of us need,
Yeah.
and what is those beliefs that I have, and this is how I behave around this, and learn from the other, then it becomes very challenging to create something together. So with the
Right.
couples or with the people I've worked, is about having the communication and be able to express what's that thing inside you, and let the other person listen and understand where you come from, and understand that nothing that I do is personal to you or
Right.
anything like that. Is like sometimes like we do things and we are not even conscious of that. So it's
Yeah.
not that I'm holding something against you or anything, but also being conscious and being able to understand what I'm doing so that I can become a better person for us, and let all those maybe negative feelings behind and create new ones.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of resentment or feeling like, well, I don't know what's going on, or I don't fully understand. I don't think this is maybe the truth, or, like
Yeah.
all these uncomfortable feelings.
So getting the environment to safely speak what your truth is and learning about one another as a couple. Because I don't know, I see couples frequently just say, Look, I had no idea about any of this history of yours. You've never shared it with me. And I've seen that after a couple have been together 20, 30 years, and they're just going, How is it that I didn't know any of this about you? And that's also a thing just to think about that we have such difficulty talking about money and the things that have happened to us that we wouldn't even share it with our life partner when that actually gives them the ability to more deeply understand and ultimately love us,
Mm.
right? So it's like I always tell you, if you're a couple out there and you struggle with money and talking about money in your relationship, there's help and hope. I mean, I think we do the best work that you can find in the world when it comes to money coaching. We've been at this longer than anybody, and my coaches are really, really well trained and capable. So please reach out to wonderful coach here like Laura Cano in Australia. Also, Laura, you work internationally as well, right?
Yes, so I'm Colombian, so I can also do all this work in Spanish if that feels more comfortable to
Hmm.
you. So yeah, anywhere you are, like I'm able to help you in either English or Spanish. I guess what I found from that perspective is that because for my clients that are Spanish speakers, because all these patterns and behaviors we learned when we were little is sometimes
Mhm.
easier to express when we do it in our own tongue, like in
Yeah,
Spanish.
mother tongue.
So it's like, yeah, because all those words and behaviors, you don't have to kind of translate the feeling. It
Exactly.
comes out as it is without having to think much. So yeah, I can definitely help anyone in both languages. Yeah.
Beautiful. And there's a fairly large Spanish speaking population in Australia as well, isn't there?
Yes, yes, we have a very big Latin community here, and it's beautiful because this work has getting me get me closer to my community. Before, when
Mhm.
I was a financial advisor, I guess there was a moment where I was building my career and I was focused on what I was doing, and I have my friends from everywhere in the world because Australia is a very multicultural country.
Yeah,
But
which
now
is
that I
great.
started doing this work, I started getting closer to my community, which is beautiful because are my roots. And I guess there
Yeah.
was a moment in my life when I got a little bit disconnected from that. And this is putting me in the position where I can come back to those roots, which is beautiful.
Excellent. So, from the standpoint of, what your vision is as you move forward, do you have something in particular that you're working on currently, a project or related to money coaching, or, what's the vision that you're holding for yourself and your clients?
So I'm doing next month.
Hmm.
I'm co-hosting a workshop with another life coach. She's from Chile,
Wow.
and we are, yeah, so she's gonna talk a little bit about different parts of coaching in your life, and
Hmm.
then we're gonna focus after that in the money side of coaching only. That's my part. So we're
Hmm.
working on this together, and I'm aiming to host either a webinar or a coffee conversation once a month in person here in Brisbane. So I invite you all to reach out and come to the events and, yeah, be part of
Beautiful.
this and spread the awareness about money.
Now, are those events on your website currently? So if people could find them there, or will they be soon?
Yes, there will be soon. I guess next week we will start sending invitations and posting about the workshop we're hosting next month,
Okay,
at the end of the week. And then as we go, I'll start posting everything on my LinkedIn, Instagram, and website.
beautiful. So if you don't mind, could you share with our listeners today what the best way is to contact you and your website address, if you don't mind?
Absolutely. So you can reach out, I guess, through any of those three channels. My Instagram is Growing Money Coach. My website is growingmoneycoach.com.au. And in LinkedIn, you'll find me with my name, Laura Cano,
Okay.
certified money coach. And yeah, like reach out through any of those channels. I'm always happy to have a conversation. Send me an email, drop a message on either of those. And yeah, happy to hear from any of
So
them.
I just want to clarify, it's growing, GROWING,
Yes,
moneycoaching.com.au.
money coach.
Growing Money Coach. Okay.
Yes,
.com.au.
yes.
Okay. So Laura, it's been a wonderful pleasure to spend some time with you today, learn more about what you're doing. I'm really excited for you. I have no doubt you're going to be great value, bring great value to your clients. Is there anything else that you would like to share as just sort of a message that anybody who's listening that might help them understand why money coaching would be of value to them? Anything you want to share at all?
Um, yeah. So I guess money coaching is a very powerful process, and it really helps us have those conversations, understand those behaviors that we have. We all have learned something about money that doesn't serve us. And you are not alone. You don't have to be ashamed for the decisions that you have made. You don't have to feel ashamed for the feelings that you have. That it's okay. If you don't know better, you cannot do better. But once you have the awareness, or when you know that you want to do something different, it's important to go and find those tools or find that support that will help you transform all those behaviors, and that will help you create that life that is aligned with your own values, with your purpose, and makes you feel fun and makes you feel balanced and makes you feel like I'm in control, but not in a controlling way, more like I'm at peace and this is working for me. So yeah, I'll invite you all to reach out to either me or any of the money coaches that Deborah has trained and open up and let's
Yeah.
start the conversations.
Well, thank you so much. I have such an appreciation for what a kind-hearted person, and I know your intentions are always really wonderful. So I'm just glad that you're out there. You're in Brisbane, but you're also able to meet with people anywhere. So most of our coaches work on Zoom, by the way, and you can find Laura, as she said, growingmoneycoach.com.au, or also on LinkedIn at Laura Cano. And Instagram as well. So please take a look at what Laura's doing on her website. Reach out to her. And Laura, thank you so much for all that you're bringing and the good work you're doing in the world. I really appreciate it too.
Thank you, Deborah, for having me.
You're
Thanks.
so
I
welcome.
really appreciate it.
So welcome, dear. All right. You take care. All right, everybody. This is Conversations About Money. And that's it for today. We'll be back next week with more. Thank you so much.